Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Patrice, and in this video we will be doing a library book haul. And now let's get started. The first book on my list is titled Into the Leopard's Den, and this is the fourth book in the Bangalore Detectives Club mystery series. This was written by Harini Nagendra, and like I said, this is a cozy mystery, and I will read the summary. Bangalore, 1922. Pregnant and confined to the house by her protective mother-in-law, Kaveri Murthy has resolved to take a break from detection. But when an elderly woman is murdered at night and dies clutching a photograph of Kaveri while asking for her help, how can she refuse? Missing the assistance of her husband Ramu, who is working in Korg, Kaveri investigates her new case with her able assistants, milkboy Vinu and housemaid Anandi. They find a trail of secrets that lead them to suspect the killer may be in Korg. Eager to be reunited with her husband, Kaveri sets off to Korg to investigate. When she arrives, she encounters a thorny thicket of cases. Why does a ghost leopard prowl the forest at night, terrorizing the plantation workers? And who is trying to kill Colonel Boyd, the coffee king of Cork? She finds suspects in every coffee bush in the state, from Boyd's surly plantation manager and security guard to the feuding brothers who own the neighboring plantation, and the many women the coffee king has pursued and abandoned. When two vulnerable children appeal for her help, Kaveri is drawn deeper into the case, becoming emotionally involved in finding the killer. Soon one murder turns into two, and then a few days later into three. Now the killer has tasted blood and needs to be stopped. Racing against time, Kaveri must take on her most complex challenge so far. With the assistance of Anandi and Vinu in Bangalore, and with Ramu and Inspector Ismail in Korg, in this stunning new novel by acclaimed master of the form, the Bangalore Detectives Club must find and expose a brutally intelligent killer before they strike again. So I picked this up because I really enjoyed this series. And in the last book, we found out that Kavari is pregnant. So I want to see how that turns out and if she is able to solve this case. I like that it's going to be, it seems like a couple of different mysteries for her to solve in this one. And I want to see if she has that baby. The next book that I picked up is titled History Lessons by Zoe B. Wallbrook, and this is a cozy mystery. As a newly minted junior professor, Daphne Overture spends her days giving lectures on French colonialism, working on her next academic book, and going on atrocious dates. Her small world suits her just fine until Sam Taylor dies. The rising star of Harrison University's anthropology department was never one of Daphne's favorites, despite his popularity. But that doesn't prevent Sam's killer from believing Daphne has something that belonged to Sam, something the killer will stop at nothing to get. Between grading papers and navigating her disastrous love life, Daphne embarks on her own investigation to find out what connects her to Sam's murder. With the help of an alluring former detective turned bookseller, she unravels a deadly cover-up on campus. This well-crafted, voice-driven mystery introduces an unforgettable crime fiction heroine. So I like this because the main character, she is a black woman and she is also full figured, and we usually don't see that in cozy mystery, so that was nice. I like that she is a college professor, so hopefully we will get like, like gossip in workplace, tea and stuff like that. So it sounds like it may be a little drama. And yeah, you guys know I like cozy mysteries, and it's hard finding um, ones written about Black characters and ones written by Black authors. So this should be interesting, and I hope I like it. The next book I picked up is titled Let Us March On by Shara Moon, and this is a historical fiction. And the summary says, a stirring novel inspired by the life of unsung heroine and real-life crusader Lizzie McDuffie, who, as a maid in Franklin D. Roosevelt's White House, spearheaded the civil rights movement of her time. When Lizzie McDuffie boldly proclaimed herself Secretary on Colored People's Affairs, she became more than just a maid to Eleanor and Franklin D. Roosevelt. She became the president's eyes and ears into the Black community. After joining the White House to work alongside her husband, FDR's personal valet, Lizzie managed to become indispensable to the Roosevelt family. Never shy about pointing out injustices, she advocated for the needs and rights of her fellow African Americans when those in the White House blocked access to the president. Following the life of Lizzie McDuffie throughout her time in the White House as she championed the rights of everyday Americans and provided them a line to the most powerful man in the country, Let Us March On looks at the unsung and courageous crusader who is finally getting the recognition she so richly deserves. So I picked this because this is a woman that I hadn't heard about, and I was interested to see like what role she played in the civil rights movement and just to learn more about her. I'm hoping there is like a study guide or something that goes with it, and I'm just, excited to learn more about who she is. The next book that I picked up is titled Girl in Disguise by Greer Macallister. And this is a historical fiction as well. And the summary says, for the first female detective, respect is hard to come by. Danger is not. With no money and no husband, Kate Warren finds herself with few choices. The streets of 1856 Chicago offer a desperate widow mostly trouble and ruin, unless that widow has a knack for manipulation and an unusually quick mind. In a bold move that no other woman has tried, Kate convinces the legendary Alan Pinkerton to hire her as a detective. Battling criminals and co-workers alike, Kate immerses herself in the dangerous life of an operative, winning the right to tackle some of the agency's toughest investigations. But is the woman she's becoming capable of any and all lies, swapping identities like dresses, the true Kate? Or has the real disguise been the good girl she always thought she was? Inspired by the real story of Kate Warren, this spirited novel follows the detective's rise during one of the nation's times of crisis, bringing to life a fiercely independent woman whose forgotten triumphs help sway the fate of the country. So I read another book by Greer Macallister, and it was The Magician's Lie, and that was really good. There was like a lot of intrigue and just like, like twists and turns, like trying to figure out that story. So it was really, really good. And this, I think, is her second book. So I'm interested to see like what she does with this one. and it just sounds like it'll be fun. So a female detective, but like a real life one. I like when the stories have like real life people, because then I can go down my little Google rabbit hole. The last book that I picked up is titled People of Means by Nancy Johnson. And this is a contemporary fiction. The summary says, two women, two pivotal moments, one dream for justice and equality. In the fall of 1959, Frida Gilroy arrives on the campus of Fisk University full of hope, carrying a suitcase and the voice of her father, telling her she's part of a family legacy of greatness. Soon the ugliness of the Jim Crow South intrudes, and she's thrust into a movement for social change. Frida is reluctant to get involved, torn between a soon-to-be doctor her parents approve of and an audacious young man willing to risk it all in the name of justice. Frida finds herself caught between two worlds and two loves and must decide how much she's willing to sacrifice for the advancement of her people. In 1992 Chicago, Frida's daughter Tulip is an ambitious public relations professional on track for an exciting career, if workplace politics and racial microaggressions don't get in her way. But with the ruling in the Rodney King trial weighing heavily on her, Tulip feels called to action when she makes an irreversible professional misstep as she seeks to uplift her community. She must decide, just like her mother had 3 decades earlier, if the cause is worth losing everything she's worked so hard to achieve. Insightful, evocative, and richly imagined with stories of hidden history, People of Means is an emotional tour de force that explores how secrets, betrayals, and the expectations of our families and communities can shape the trajectory of our lives and our place in history. So I picked this up because I have seen this book making the booktube rounds, and it sounded very interesting from what others were saying. So I'm excited to see how I like this. And I like that an HBCU is involved, and then we are going to go to Rodney King. So I'm interested seeing how all of these places and things like weave together. That's all that I have for this library book haul. Please let me know if you picked up any of these books, if you've read them, or if anything that I mentioned here sounds interesting. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you the next time. All right, bye-bye.